So in the medium term on agriculture, there seems to be two factors that will affect overall pricing, and that'll be number one, Mother Nature and weather, and number two, the U.S.-China trade deal. And even within the trade deal, it'll be a regionalized situation. So the world has an abundance of grain and oilseeds today. There's no shortage. South America's coming through with record large crops. Our big concern going forward to the Northern Hemisphere season will be, of course, the development of Mother Nature and weather and how farmers plant and, of course, harvest crops. And then this China-U.S. trade deal. If the United States mandates or agrees with China to buy $50 billion of U.S. ag goods, that's a tremendous change, and it would lift the U.S. market to the detriment of the rest of the world. All of that would be resolved over time in terms of trade flows, but initially the shock would be pretty sizable. So as we look at the year ahead, it's those two factors which give us the dilemmas in terms of agriculture and trying to understand prices and trade flows going forward.
Absolutely, the geopolitical stuff, the geopolitical situation between China and the United States, because they are two major players. And, you can talk about soybeans, corn, cotton, or many other commodities, wheat, a lot of it is riding on what happens there, and as we all stood up here and said, I think we're all optimistic. I would say cautiously optimistic, but we're lacking in the details. And whatever happens there has the potential to be quite significant bilaterally, between the United States and China, with China potentially coming in and buying as much as the rumors are saying that they could come in and buy of U.S. agricultural products. So that would change a little bit of the trade flows around the world. The world would readjust to that new reality for the short to medium term. And again, I call this trade war, for me, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity because the rest of the world will find other alternatives. Even if the U.S. and China sign the deal and have a strong bilateral relationship, it does not mean that China as a buyer is not going to be looking to other markets as well. So I think it's an opportunity for everyone. But obviously, in the short to medium term, it's going to benefit the U.S. It's going to benefit U.S. agriculture. A tremendous deal. And I think that is healthy for the world market, because I believe we need a healthy U.S. agricultural sector to have a healthy world agricultural market.
We fear it's a new trend. I say that begrudgingly because if you look at the Trump administration, the President of the United States sees himself as the tariff man. And so once he finishes with China, he will probably pivot looking at Japan and then the EU. Those will be the next countries in his crosshairs. After that, should he get reelected in 2020, we think he'll look at India and trying to lower their ag subsidies going forward. So tariffs are something that unlikely will go away anytime soon and potentially could get worse in the medium term as we broaden the countries that will be affected. Right now it's Mexico, Canada, and potentially China, or China as it is negotiating a deal. But I think that's going to broaden as we look over the next coming months.
I absolutely think it's a new reality, and during the panel I mentioned that I brought up the Russian embargo, U.S. Russian embargo in 1980, and excuse me, in the 80s, and how that changed the landscape for wheat trade ever since. So even though Russia and the U.S. went back to having trade relations after that, the focus of wheat trade has migrated to where we are staying right now, in the Black Sea region, right? So before the U.S. was the dominant player, and now it is an important player, but the Black Sea is the dominant player, right? Europe and the Black Sea. So I believe that years from now, generations are going to be studying and looking at this U.S.-China trade war as, okay, that happened. Even if they signed a deal, okay, this was a strong bilateral agreement in the short term, but this reshaped the trade flows around the world going forward. Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think it's a new development. I absolutely think it's something that our kids are going to study one day if they are into grain trade, commodities. I think future commodity players and participants are going to study what's happening right now and understand that was something that it was a new moment, a new era that began, despite the fact that U.S. and China have a strong potential to sign a bilateral deal. Beleza pura, okay? Beleza pura.